Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Flavor and Fiction. So today's book was actually not a part of my 2019 reading challenge. My father sent me this book in the mail as a surprise. It's called The Memo: What Women of Color Need to Know to Secure a Seat at the Table by Minda Harts. This is what it looks like. He sent this to me in the mail and said, give it to your sister next. So next I have to give it to her. I guess he was just tired of hearing me complain about my job and not going anywhere in my career and was like, okay, read this and get on with it. So I did, and I'm going to tell you what I thought. So I guess you're wondering, what is the recipe that we're making today? Well, in her book, Minda mentions birthday cake. So we're not making birthday cake, but we are going to be making sakatumi cake. This is something that my mom whips together whenever there's company or just because it's Tuesday, I don't know. So she gave me a cake pan so that I can make cake for my guests. And I decided I'm going to make a sakatumi cake this morning and take some into work. Okay, first thing we're going to do is grease our cake pan with some shortening. I use this brand, Crisco. You're going to put in a light layer, just rub it in with that paper towel. So I've already added in the Crisco, so you see it's just a nice shiny pan. Now we're going to flour it lightly. Just put in a little bit of flour and kind of rotate the pan. Shuffle it around until it gets all over. Okay, I think this is lightly floured enough. I'm not going to show you my sink area because it's a mess. So now we're going to put the pan aside. We're going to mix all the rest of our ingredients in this bowl. So here are the ingredients, and I'll put the exact recipe down in the description below. Here are all of the ingredients added. Now we're going to use our hand mixer and we're going to mix for 4 minutes. Okay, there we are, ready to go in the oven. I preheated it to 350 already, and it's going to go in there for 40 minutes. Okay, it looks like it might be done, but what you want to do is stick a toothpick in, and if it comes out clean, did not come out clean. So we're going to leave it in for just another minute. Okay, it is out of the oven. Doesn't it look beautiful? So we're going to let it cool for a second. Then we're going to put a knife around the edges, the outside edges, around the middle part and around the bottom, and then we're going to take the cake out. Okay, so I may not have done the best job of flipping it just because I left some cake on the plate. I didn't cut it evenly, but here is the finished product. And normally I show you a picture of me tasting it and trying it, but since I have to get to work and I want to eat mine with coffee, I'm just going to eat mine there. But this is my sakatumi cake. Okay, so I bet y'all are wondering 2 things. 1, why are we so close to her face? And 2, why is she doing another review from her car? Well, because I don't want to be late for work. That's why. And the reason you're so close to my face is because I have jerry-rigged this contraption using a hair tie and my visor to hold my phone up so I can drive. It sort of works. I can mostly see from the windshield. No, I'm just kidding. I'm fine. But I did want to make sure that we got into the book. And there is plenty of traffic on the way to work, so trust me, I'm fine. So first, let's discuss, who is this book for? I feel like this book is for anyone who, whether you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to build up your business or your brand, or whether you work in an office and you're trying to climb the ladder or have any type of professional growth, this book is for you. Oh, and also if you're a woman of color. This is the first time in this challenge that I have broken out my highlighter to make sure that I don't forget certain passages, especially when it comes to the part about negotiating and how negotiating is more than just your salary. And I don't know why, but I felt really stupid in that moment. Like, it is. Like, what have I been doing? And I want to tell you about my experience asking for getting a promotion and a raise. So a few years ago, because I work at a publishing company, I was not in the editorial department, but that was my goal. So after being there a couple of years, there was a position open in editorial, and I talked to them about fashioning it into, because I didn't want to have a lateral move to like editorial assistant. I wanted to make sure that I was going to be at the level where I thought I was. And so they created a title, and it was supposed to be, we had talks about this is what the position is going to do. You're going to learn this. You're going to take over that. You're going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I was excited. And then we talked about salary. And it was, the number I put out there, I was like laughed at. They laughed in my face and said, oh, we never give out raises at that size. Can I tell you, I did not ask for a large raise. It was very minimal, and they gave me less than half of what I asked for. And I took it. I thought, well, because they're all up on this, you have to do the work before they pay you for the work type thing. And it was just like, I'm sorry, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You're hiring me for a job, pay me for the job when I start doing the job. That's just weird. Like, we want to see you run yourself into the ground before we decide if it's worth paying you for that. So don't fall for that, by the way. But this book serves as like a wake-up call to anyone who feels stuck. It definitely gives you a charge and makes you want to reevaluate where you are and decide what you need to do to get where you want to be. So one of the things that Minda gets into that really struck a chord with me was mentorship versus sponsorship. And I don't think I really understood the difference between the two. And she explains. See, a mentor is someone who, can show you the ropes, and if you have a question, you can go to them, and they help you develop. But a sponsor is someone who will help you get opportunities, who is someone who, if an opportunity arises, they have you in the back of their mind, and they say, you know what, Rhonda may be good for that position. Why don't you ask Rhonda? Like, they help promote you. You have to be active to be a sponsor. And I definitely have confused the two and have gotten my feelings hurt, but now I know better, and now I know what I need and what I don't need. So I'm going to read to you some of the passages that I highlighted so we can talk about them. I could have left sooner. I didn't have to stay and be the strong black woman and hope for the best. I let my pride get in the way because I left my former employer for a pasture I thought was greener. I felt I had to make this work. This was mistake number 2. You don't have to make everything work. You can leave if you are being mistreated because it doesn't get any better. So Minda was doing very well at her last job when she decided to leave for what she thought would be a better opportunity. And when things started to go south, she felt like, well, this is what you wanted. You came over here for this, so you got to put up with it. And really, you don't. You're allowed to hold yourself to a high standard, especially at least to the standard that, you hold other people there at the company. You have to worry about number one, and you don't have to put up with mistreatment and disrespect just because you decided to go out on your own and take a chance on something. But traditionally, women of color are taught to be so concerned about our appearance at work. You want to avoid stereotypes. You don't want to be the angry black woman. You don't want to be this. You don't want to be that we end up like shrinking and not really speaking up when we need something or want something. And that is definitely a mistake. So some of you may be thinking, okay, but that advice can go for any woman. Like, why is this book specifically for women of color? Well, here you go. Here's the next quote. White women have done a good job of not being seen as the villain. They helped create this narrative that white men are the ones we should fear at work. Woo! Kind of got real there for a minute, didn't it? I mean, so we all know that there is not an equal pay scale in the world right now, in this country. And that, white women don't make what white men make, and black men don't make what white women make, and black women don't make what black men make, and so on and so on. Latino women being, I believe, at the bottom. And I feel like when white women specifically fight for equal pay, they kind of lump us all together. Like, women make 80% of what men make, and it's like, no, you're not taking into account that I'm not even up to where you are as far as the pay gap and other privileges. And when someone who is above you in the pay scale, above you in opportunities, asks you to join their fight for equality, you just got to shake your head at that. Like, you're not taking into account my situation or where I am or my needs, but I'm supposed to, join you in arms in your fight. And sometimes I personally feel, and I guess Minda has felt too, that white women have not always presented themselves to be the best allies that they think that they are. Okay, so the third quote that kind of slapped me in the face. Over the years, I learned that salaries aren't the only thing up for negotiation. We can negotiate extra vacation days, professional development stipends, remote working days, and stock options. And I gotta tell you, I felt like stupid after reading this, because I was like, why have I not really given this any thought? I mean, and I've been at my current company for like almost 10 years. And this is definitely not something that I was thinking about 10 years ago. But she's right. I mean, this is a different day and age, and you should be, I guess, kind of forcing companies to show you how valuable you are to them. Like, how much do you really want me to work here? Like, yes, you may be going in because you need a job, but you also need to let them know that they need you. And since we're talking about like interviewing and everything, when you are in an interview, she definitely gave me a better idea of the kind of questions that I should be asking. You know how the employer is always like, do you have any questions? Yes, I do. What is the work culture here? Who will I be working with closely? Like, you want to get a feel for the intangibles there. Just if you're going to be spending most of your life for a while in this company, in the office, you better know who you're spending time with, which makes sense. So the last quote I'm going to share with you, because it pretty much sums up my feelings, is this. I had done as much fake it until you make it as I could, and it was killing me softly. I feel like we've all been there. Everything, a lot of things take a fake it till you make it attitude, but if you're not making it, you got to do something else. You got to figure out another move. And Minda's move was to become the CEO of the Memo. The Memo is a career development community platform that provides women of color with important resources to excel. And I'm going to put a link down to her website, so in case you want to take one of her courses or see her in person, find out more information about her, you can do that. So just to wrap up, this book discusses women of color in the workplace, the limitations that we put on ourselves, the interactions and limitations between our working relationships with men and also with white women, the complicated history of our relationships with white women at work. It was very interesting, and I as you can see, a lot of this resonated with me and definitely ignited a spark. So I definitely recommend it, and I'll put the link to where you can get the book down below. So I'm about to be at work where I'm going to enjoy my Sakatumi cake with a cup of coffee, even though, if I'm being honest, guys, okay, I'm so mad at myself. It needed maybe 3 more minutes in the oven. Yeah, because, at the very bottom of the cake, it just, when it's still like just a little eggy, didn't quite get the way I wanted it to, but I did taste it, and it's still good. I'm not bringing it to work because, you know what, if it's not perfect, I don't really want to bring it in and share it with other people, but that's fine with me. I'll be eating plenty. So I just want to say thank you for joining me for another episode of Flavor and Fiction, Up Close and Personal, and I'll see you next time.